All right. Welcome to Do You Even Fail, the business failure podcast where we get real about flops, fumbles, and face plants because, man, do we all experience a crap ton of them.
Indeed, indeed.
I'm Devin Amberg, and I'm here with...
I'm Emmett, and this is our first episode, so...
It is. And as everyone can see, this is not the Crown office space that we built.
We are on version 3.
We are on version 3.
Because after all, do you even fail?
Yeah.
So that brings me to my first question, which is, what made you want to start a podcast like this?
So for context for the audience, I had another podcast I originally ran, had 23 episodes. It was a lot of fun, but decided, hey, need to hit a reset at the end of the year here, take lessons learned from there,
Sure,
and start a new one.
Okay.
And as I was thinking about, like, what do I want to start a podcast about, though? The other one was a good time, but it felt so narrow-focused about just business and how do you start a business. And it was like I'm sitting in a professor's room.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, I was looking around, I was like, you know what? I literally feel like I'm in some fake vortex world right now that is like I'm living inside of Instagram.
Sure, yeah, people always posturing and trying to frame things in the, the best glass half full, it's a sunny day every day kind of thing.
Literally. It's like every networking event I went to, every business person I met, every call I'm on, there's two phrases you always hear. How you doing? I'm doing good, and I'm so busy. Like, everyone's busy. It's like a sign of success. Apparently.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. How packed is your Outlook calendar, right?
And I always look at people, I'm like, we busy or productive? Because these are two different statements.
Yep.
And so as I was looking at it, I look around, I'm like, man, this year has been brutal for me. Like, I have failed like a boss. And what I found out was like when you tell people that, they actually like use it against you. They're like, oh, your Instagram reel's not beautiful of your business world.
Right, it's not the curated image they're expecting, right?
Yeah, and they go behind closed doors and they go, yeah, this life Devin's living ain't working for him, so, look at this, and let's just talk crap about it. And so I decided as I started to get to know people, a lot of people feel alone, so why not bring reality back into the world? And if that means I have to use social to do it, then so be it. But let's be raw about it and actually tell our truths. And so it's already been interesting. We've had guests say no because they're like, we're not going to air our dirty laundry. We need our life to look perfect, which I couldn't believe. Like, people actually stated, I need to keep Point my blank. Instagram life real looking hot. So they want to come on it. So, yeah, that's why. But I'm curious, why are you running on this crazy train with me? That's the real question.
Couple different reasons. I mean, I love an adventure, and this seems like it's the beginning of a fun one. The other thing is, I think similar experiences in a different realm, not so much corporate America, but a lot of people, in my opinion, are really afraid to take any kind of hard look in the mirror or any kind of sort of self-inventory and accountability. And personal, family, friends, business, whatever. There's a lot of people I know that I can see that they could grow a lot faster and become a lot more successful in whatever endeavor, business, their relationship, whatever, if they were a little bit more direct and honest about their failures, owning it, really looking at it, staring it in the face, making their peace with it, and then taking the lesson from that. I think if you're so busy trying to be either risk adverse in the first place, you miss a lot of opportunities. And if you're taking opportunities, but you're fumbling, you're failing, you're struggling, and you're spending all of your energy just trying to sort of paint over that, you're not really getting the benefit of that failure, and it's whatever lessons you need to learn are going to take you exponentially longer. And I firsthand have plenty of examples of that. And so when you were saying, hey, we're going to crack this open, kind of shatter that facade, and sort of get into some real discussions, I was like, well, sounds like my kind of party.
Yeah, I like it. I was at dinner before this. For the audience, it's like 11 o'clock at night here. Yeah. So we be rolling. We had to get it going. But I was at dinner, and it makes me think about, we were talking about him and I self-reflection. That's what you're hitting on. And it makes me think about when I had a sales call a few years ago. I had a guy with me that was shadowing. He's about 2 years into sales.
Sure.
And so we go on this major call. I'm about to close the deal. I thought I had it, lay up, no problem. And I lost the sale. So I get in the car with him. And I'm mad, and I'm blaming the customer, right? Blaming the customer. I'm just upset about it. And I know in the back of my head, I'm like, come on, man. Like that's not how you win. That's not how you continue to succeed. So we get back to the office, and I said, go get us a conference room. So we get a conference room, and I wrote on top of the board, I said, Devin failed at this sale. What do we do next? And he looked at me, he's like, what? And we spent 4 hours ripping apart our entire journey with this client that was probably a 6-month process, and all the areas we could have done different, right?
Right.
And it was hard, man, because I'm sitting there with,
tough.
I've been in the industry, it was 7 years probably at that point. This person's a year and a half in, and I'm encouraging them, going, tear me apart. Like, you were with, I know you have some insights, and it's that self-reflection and being honest, going, yeah, I fumble daily, right? And so that's why we have 3 categories on the podcast for the audience. So whenever you tune in, every time we're going to have a guest come on, to be way more exciting than just Emmett and I. And we do have Matt Nisler will be bringing guests on and co-hosting with us, and Ryan Beam. And Matt actually owns his own accounting firm. He has a huge story there. We'll be bringing him on to here.
Yep.
Ryan has his own jewelry business as well that he scaled really good.
Yep.
But when guests come on, they'll be responsible to handle 3 different things. They'll need to talk about a major failure in their life. So they'll need to come on, share nitty-gritty stories. They'll need to talk about a fallacy they believe in, a challenge.
Right.
And the failure piece, the reason that's the forefront of it all is because I've realized when someone shares their failure, it helps prevent me from making the same mistake, but not as often as I thought. And that's what's weird is I'll still go make the same mistake, but I'll remember the story they told me, and I'll be able to come to the realization a lot faster and move on from that failure a lot quicker.
Exactly.
And so that's what I'm excited about, is bring those people on, so those who've been through a failure don't feel alone, like they're on an island. Like, am I the only one that is this incapable to do it
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
As well as learn from something. So.
Exactly. And that was one of the biggest common threads just when I was sort of soft pitching this to people I know in the business world. You'd be surprised how many people had a ton of failures, and a lot of the more successful people I know all relatively openly admitted to me, but would never do in a public forum, that, hey, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for almost not being able to make payroll early on.
Yeah.
Or, hey, for the first 10 years I was running this business basically out of my garage, and the city zoning didn't know, and I had to, there's all these sort of nitty gritty, grinding and hustling your way to the top, tons of lessons along the way, stories. But for whatever reason, when people get to the pinnacle of where they feel like they've made it and, hey, I'm successful now, very quickly it's, oh, what are you talking about? It's always been this great. It's smooth and polished, and nothing ever went wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fascination is with that, but I think that it's a huge disservice to people that are trying to come up, because I know a lot of younger entrepreneurs who, or even just 9 to 5, corporate America, businessmen that feel like they can't admit when they fail, even if it's their first day on the job, because they think that that's not on the roadmap to success. If I admit that I, made an honest mistake or took a misstep or misjudged something or missed an opportunity, then, well, I'm just not cut out for it. And unfortunately, it doesn't leave a lot of room for improvement or self-growth.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that, because this podcast won't just be about business failures, because when you fail in business, it flows into your personal life, and
vice versa.
And the reason I wanted to talk about it so much was this year, I could talk about my failure where I had a nonprofit fundraiser set up, I had $100,000 raised, and all of a sudden the whole thing fell apart. I could talk about a failure with some business engagements I made with people. I could talk about failures inside of my health, but realistically, all those pieces and what we're trying to get out of people is those are good stories, but let's go deeper. And what happened, why I failed so hard this year, is I got lost in the Instagram reel. I became one of the people who was, I'm going to live this world. I'm always going to put on the right front. I'm going to go have all the drinks with everybody. I'm going to go to every networking event. I'm going to be everywhere doing the coolest thing at every moment. I'm going to put up that front. And what resulted is I ended up having an epic failure, and everything fell apart. And so all of a sudden, it drew me to want to go, all right, well, let's bring this to the table and let's get people in who will go deeper. And I could go way deeper on what I'm talking about, but at this time, it's not about me.
Save some
it's
for,
about setting things up. But
exactly.
So when you're watching, part of this first episode is getting people set up who are going to be coming on. Get ready to go deep. Don't just give that surface level answer, because that doesn't help individuals as human beings grow. That just helps their business mindset. We want people to grow emotionally, spiritually, intellectually through our podcast.
Exactly. And yeah, break down some of the walls, that people have, especially these days, it seems socially. Like you said, everybody, it's really quite a relatable experience. I think everybody experiences, failures, shortcomings, opportunities for growth, lessons learned, the hard way in blood or sweat. But I don't know why, but these days it seems like people are increasingly resistant. And I think social media is probably part of it. I think corporate culture shifted. I think also, people working from home and all that for a time, people sort of forgot what real flawed humanity looks like. But I think, opening that back up and really, digging deep and saying, hey, even these people that you might see, on a pedestal, running a huge company or, started from the ground and now they're, millionaires or whatnot. Even they have some real tough lessons learned, both in business and personal. So
yeah. And so after we get through the failure part of the podcast, the next piece is fallacies, right? And we have to get some rhyming in there. We didn't think of a good word that started with an F for challenges. Someone out there smarter than me probably has one. Feel free to send it to us. We'll adjust.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments. But on the fallacy side, when we look at that, it's so easy to get caught up in today's world of make $100, make $1,000, become a millionaire, 6-minute abs.
Yep. $10,000 a month, e-commerce.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Amazon,
wholesale arbitrage.
Yeah, right. There's all these hustles, and I got sucked into just an old classic one at the beginning of the year. So first 5 months of the year, I was the guy who was like, I'll be up at 4 a.m. because
the morning, the CEO morning routine.
I'm gonna be at the gym. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna be drinking my water before my coffee.
Yep.
I'm gonna read my Bible, and then I'm gonna read my book.
Then you got 2 hours of focus work.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're gonna go for a walk at noon.
Yeah, exactly. I was crushing it. I hit every single day. You can ask my wife, who's here tonight, helping watch, make sure everything's going right. I was passed out by 9, absolutely zero production in my personal life with friends or family. And 5 months in, ended up, health went through the floor.
Yeah, you burn out.
Was getting IVs every week for 6 weeks. None of my friends ever saw me. And I was like, you know what? Someone needs to be honest about this stuff and go, it doesn't work. Parts of it do. There's truths inside of it, but let's pull them out. So I'm so excited to hear other people's fallacies that they believed in and dove into. On your end, though, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Did you ever have a fallacy like that? You're like, you know what? I did X, Y, Z because everyone said to, and I just faceplanted. It was a bad idea.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I fell into was similar to you, but it was more revolving around sleep quality, sleep health, sleep schedule, and really focusing on that. And, that's the foundation. And if you have if you get your good 8 hours and enough REM sleep, and, I have a way to track that, of course.
Did you tape over your mouth too, these new people?
I did some of that. There were some nose strips at one point, the Whoop stuff you've seen.
Yep.
And although all that information is helpful, I do believe that both what you mentioned and what I ran into both fall into fundamentally the same category, which is I think a lot of people get distracted by checking the boxes that make it look like they're doing something and completely forget about the actual doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And Alex Ramosi, who, I was going to say, you're probably familiar, he has a good, comment about this, and he basically says, I know a ton of, millionaires, billionaires, right? And he said, some of them watch a ton of porn, some of them never do. Some of them drink all the time, some of them are sober. Some of them get 2 hours of sleep, some of them get 10 hours of sleep. Some are up by 5, some sleep until noon. Yeah. He said, you know what they all have in common? They just do the work they need to do.
Yeah, it's that simple.
And I think that people do get distracted and put too much focus on sort of the indicators of success they've been told are going to lead them down the right path and completely stop actually looking at where they're going. I sort of think of it as somebody who has their nose buried so deep into a map that they're not actually looking at the road. Yeah. It's like, that's nice, but you're sort of missing the mark.
Yeah. So I want to build on that, not to like level up with you, but it makes me think. I was talking to Vanita last night.
Okay.
We were talking about networking and ways to network differently, but what it really came down to, and what I think you're hitting on, is everyone wants a map or a book. They don't want to figure it out themselves.
100%.
Because
it's different for everyone.
Easy then, right? Give me the formula, and if 1 + 1 = 2, and I do that, then I win. Then I made it. Yep. But that's not how it works, right? It's you need to take bits and pieces of everyone's formula and create your own. But that takes far more work. Just like I was talking to Vanita, we can go to 10,000 networking events like I did last year. Or I can take the time to find the 10 people in 2024 that are actually worth my time meeting, and take that other time and become better at my craft.
And
that's way more work, but it's also more work.
True.
Yeah, because it's not simple. I can't check a box and feel like I'm being successful.
No, I think most people, I sort of think of it as most people want to put success on autopilot.
100%.
They just want to, punch in, this is the desired end state I'm looking for. Quick Google search, 10-minute little YouTube video, a couple TikTok productivity motivational reels. Okay, I'm good to go. And then it's like they think if they just do that, they're going to magically be there. And that's not how it works. Everybody, like you said, is unique. Everybody has their own challenges, their own starting point. So you can take the sort of 2 cents of wisdom from this and that, but at the end of the day, you are going to have to do your own, course corrections and your own sort of wayfinding as you go to actually get where you want to be.
Yeah, it's apply it, try it, and dump what doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
Like you don't need
scientific process, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trial and error.
Yeah, just have a hypothesis. Is it a good one or not?
You got to test it and see what the results are.
So speaking of hypothesis and testing, my old podcast, that anyone who followed that, we tried a new bourbon every week. That's a lot of bourbon, my guy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of bourbon.
I got to watch my figure, man.
Yeah. And it got tiring. And so Em and I are on a huge kick right now and trying to get focused. And for me, it's always been fitness is how I get back on track. And him and I vibe on that. So we're gym, we're a gallon of water, we're cold plunging saunas. We're trying all these trends that people say work. We'll give you feedback on what we think on them. But part of that is for a while, we're removing alcohol. Nothing against it, our own personal preference. So
it messes up your sleep.
Yeah, it does. I would never wake up feeling right.
Yeah.
So I called up my buddy Mike, and that works at one of the Total Wines. He runs it. I said, "Hey, dumb question, but do you sell non-alcoholic liquor?"
Calls the liquor store and says, "Hey, I know you guys are a liquor store, but quick question: got anything that's not liquor?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "Okay, I figure." And he's like, "Wait a minute, you understand, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, you got some NA beer or something." He goes, "No, man, we have wine, rum, tequila, bourbon, like anything you can think of that's alcohol. We have a non-alcohol." So I got really excited. I'm a 0 to 100 type of guy.
Yeah.
Found that out last night. So at 9:30 p.m., I took my wife to the liquor store and I spent way too much money on it and bought a bunch of stuff for us to try.
My man.
So this is our first one. I don't like the smell. This is a bourbon.
Okay.
Apparently.
What do we?
Yeah. What do we? This guy right here is what we're trying.
Let's see. So spiritless Kentucky 74 distilled non-alcoholic spirit for bourbon cocktails.
So that's my only concern. This says 4 cocktails. The rest say bourbon. So I'm worried it's supposed to be mixed. So I have a backup. Spiritless is the name of it.
We are going to find out.
But you can smell it a mile away.
Yeah. I mean, but same with real bourbon. So.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we're in this together. So
Cheers. Let's find out what we're getting into here and then give it a rating.
Interesting. I don't hate it.
I feel like I'm drinking watered down water.
It you know what's
with
funny?
Like cigarette butts in it.
I was gonna say so there's not as much. You're used to that alcohol that hits you, and you don't have any of that. I will say the aftertaste is actually very similar. Like after you actually drink it, and like as it's been a little bit, it's not the same, but it's an interesting.
It's brutal. It's so bad. Like Spiritless, I'm sorry. I reached out to this company to get free samples. Don't send this one, please.
Yeah, it's a little uphill. It's a little uphill.
And I'm strong opinion right now because I've had a couple NA beers. I know, totally same line, not. Those weren't bad. This is rough. So if you're at home, just get a little bit of apple juice and pour a ton of water in there, and then light a cigar and put it on it and stir, and you'll have the same taste.
Or if you take tap water, and then you take some like maple syrup or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
And mix it up, and then you go get some dirt from the garden, just a pinch.
Yeah,
that would probably get you there too.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is uphill.
So that's a challenge for y'all. We dare you to go make your own version of this. It'll probably be better.
Yeah.
But the last piece for our podcast is challenge, and the reason I set that up. It seems kind of cliche at the end, like, and here's your challenge to go off with. But in my old podcast, what I found out was it was hard for people to remember all this content we would cover and then like what to do with it. So
yeah, it can be information overload, and it's like, oh, there's all this good content, but it's like I'm not going to be able to apply any of this day to day because I'm set in my habits and ways. And
well, it's like
2 hours later,
it was like a conference I was at the other week. I was like, it's amazing. They're like, what was it about? I was like,
get back to you.
I'll let you know, but it was so good.
Exactly.
And so all the guests that come on will leave you a challenge. It'll tie back to their failure fallacy to go implement. So like one could be as simple of like something around time management, right? Easy example. It could be in that area. Yeah, just
Pun intended. Time management. Era.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
I appreciate it. See, this is why there's always two. It could be that piece, or it could be something a lot deeper, and it could be personal, it could be professional. So really excited about it, because what I want is if someone tunes into this podcast, you want to reach as much of an audience as possible, right? So what I hope and our goal, and please provide feedback, I'm a huge advocate, even productive criticism is always welcome, is if you listen to our podcast, I want you to hit one of three categories. I want you to be emotionally impacted because you no longer feel like you're alone on an island because you can relate to their failure and you've never been willing to share it, but now someone has. So now you are like, okay, I can get through this, and reach out to us. We'll connect you with that guest, and they can share ways they got through it if you didn't get enough off the podcast. If you don't fall into that category, I hope you fall into the fallacy category, that you're either already loony enough like I wasn't doing it and someone can help you pump the brakes and question.
Yeah.
Or you did it and you're like, aha, you are
we
the
all
same
fell for
boat.
that one. Yeah, exactly.
Like, good job. Or third, if you don't fit either of those, at least the challenge, you go, you know what? I've never thought about doing that. I'm going to try it out.
Try something new.
What hits. And
gives
same
you
thing,
a new trial and error.
chew it and spit it. If you don't like it, get rid of it. We don't mind. We don't mind. But
No, I like it.
so any final thoughts on prepping our guests for what they're getting into, or the audience that they should be listening for?
I think
or
that's
productive feedback right away on the spot live.
No, I think for a first shot, I'm pretty excited. I think you did a great job encapsulating sort of the trifecta of what we're trying to get across. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge piece is what, I listen to, shout out, Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson, or, obviously Alex Ramosi and a lot of these other, Jocko Willink and all that. And it's really dense information, and it's amazing, high value, very applicable information. But at the end, it's like I feel like I need flashcards to apply it. And sometimes I'll rewatch it multiple times just to really try to hopefully the subconscious picks up on it. But yeah, having some nice concise, hey, this week I'm going to try this, and then trial and error, right? Try it. If it doesn't work for you, cool. But you're still making progress because you ruled something out, and then you can move on to the next thing. And if it does work for you, great. Build it into the habit. You don't need to actively remember it, and you can pick up the next thing.
Yeah. So awesome. Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in to our first episode. I do want to give a shout out to Emmett here. You'll be hearing a lot of his voice, but not seeing a lot of his face.
I'll be hiding.
He's our AV guy.
Yep.
Making sure the show actually works. If it was up to me, I would be having like a iPhone on a stick and just holding it and talking into it. It'd be really ugly. So appreciate that. Until next time, go relax, enjoy life, because the next 52 weeks is going to be full of a lot of challenges, and that's going to wear you out enough. Enjoy the holidays.